Good morning, everybody. I am here to share with you this online short course about BYOD. We are going to discover what BYOD is and its main aspects, benefits in didactics and training. Before starting my presentation, I wish to spend some seconds to thank you for your participation, to thank TIA Formazione for this opportunity, and to introduce myself. My name is Carmelina Maurizio. I have been a teachers and educators trainer for the last 15 years, collaborating with the Ministry of Education in Italy, with other local, national, and international organizations about teaching, didactics, students with special needs, ICTs, and European projects. Let's start. And please do not hesitate to contact me for clarifications and for sharing materials and ideas. You will find my contact at the end of this presentation. So let's start. Which is the origin of the BYOD? BYOD was born in the USA in 2009 when the Intel company launched it as a good practice, using employees' devices for professional reasons, was considered a very innovative and important solution. Let's consider together what Ed Goldman, the Intel Chief Technology Officer, wrote at that time. He says, I have observed parallels and interdependencies between our adoption of IT consumerization, which provides employees with a wider range of choices for computer capability, and the advent of cloud computing, which offers businesses additional options for IT services. So, Intel IT is coordinating our cloud computing efforts with our Bring Your Own Device, the BYOD initiatives, to enable us to reap maximum business value from both. What happens when BYOD starts to become a school and educational practice? Of course, introducing BYOD in education means face and meet technical challenges. What are? The culture, norms, and laws related to the use of mobile devices in schools in a country. For example, in Italy, the Ministry of Education launched BYOD as a good policy in 2015 with the national plan that supports digital habits. What is relevant also is the school size, the age, the location, the construction, the infrastructure, and previous and the current use of technology and the subject areas the school is specialized in. And then the availability of technical expert staff. We are going to talk about this later. So, BYOD in education is commonly used to mean permitting students and teachers to bring personally owned mobile devices such as laptops, tablets, smartphones, netbooks into educational institutions and to use those devices to access institutional information, applications, and services in order to support learning. There are some challenges when we decide at schools and in educational agencies to use BYOD. The biggest technical challenge is designing, deploying, and managing a new or enhanced Wi-Fi network which will consistently, safely, and securely provide the level of service expected by students and the staff. And also, it is necessary to review the broadband arrangements to ensure the quality of the connection. There are different situations in introducing BYOD at school. In some schools, we are going to see later, there are isolated teachers or principals or other representatives of the staff or the students themselves that give the start to the introduction of BYOD in an informal, ad hoc way because they recognize the importance of using students' own devices. Alternatively, sometimes the introduction may be the carefully planned, strictly controlled and monitored process of implementing a whole school strategy with clear aims and objectives. Of course, it is necessary to have clear the local situation, the context, because the needs of a large technical secondary school occupying several buildings in a city are likely to be very different from the needs of a small rural primary school in another country. In introducing BYOD, school strategies should take into account all these aspects. So, the quality and the aspects of the Wi-Fi network, which should be granted according to the position that we have in the school. So a different network for visitors or contractors or for the local staff or for the students. And also, it's very important to remind that school BYOD strategies may go farther than merely allowing students to use their own mobile devices in the school and providing some internet access for them. A more beneficial approach involves embedding the use of students' own devices into teaching and learning, both within and outside the school, promoting the link and the relationship between formal and informal education. There are some critical points and some important aspects to be taken into consideration. First of all, the role of parents. Sometimes parents represent the resource, sometimes they represent a form of resistance. Parents should be informed about the use of personal devices. Sometimes they're asked to buy, sometimes in the countries where school and educational policies ask parents to buy what is necessary for the learning process, may accept also to buy devices. Sometimes it is not allowed, and sometimes it is important to write, define, and consider some arrangements and some agreements for the use of the devices. So please, in the moment that we are considering to introduce BYOD in the schools, or because we are writing some projects about introducing BYOD in the school, keep in mind that the role of parents is very important. As I was telling you, there are some different scenarios when we see and consider some BYOD good practices. Sometimes it is the single teacher. The single teacher, he or she is personally, strongly convinced that introducing BYOD is very important, for example, to try something different or to engage hard to reach students. Sometimes this kind of a teacher does not seek permission and may even be acting against official school policy. It happens that school leaders may be unaware BYOD is occurring. In these cases, BYOD can slowly spread and some benefit will be seen. Another possibility is when we consider the points of view of students. In this case, teachers should be encouraged, even if not necessarily required, to allow use of the mobile devices in their classes. This is, for example, the position of the Italian Ministry of Education that strongly pushes students and teachers to use their mobile phones, for example, at school, but they are not obliged. And there is another important point. Very often, teachers lack the training, the necessary and the important training to allow students to use devices. So it is important to grant this. Then it is necessary, we are going to talk about this later, to have in that school the resource of an expert, the IT department administrator, that has the responsibility to allow the connection, to give the connection to a school Wi-Fi network. And there is also the situation when in the school, expert students, senior students may support the introduction of BYOD because of their expertise. So, at last, what are the school arrangements for BYOD policies? What are the educational agencies' arrangements for BYOD policies? When there is the decision to introduce BYOD, it means making significant investments in ICT connectivity, equipment, and services in order to make digital age teaching and learning a reality for young people, equipping them with the skills needed to meet the 21st century learning process and requirements. In some countries, known as the network manager, systems coordinator, or IT manager, there is a person in the school staff who oversees the technical development and implementation of IT. In Italy, for example, there is animatore digitale. So it is very important at the beginning and to launch BYOD policies that these school arrangements should be carried on. This means also that the schools and the educational agency meet the challenges for schools implementing BYOD. That is, giving the pedagogical background to the ones that are introducing BYOD policies, and also keeping up with developing requirements. It means, of course, as just mentioned before, the grant of a good connectivity, obtaining the necessary broadband speed, and, for example, like it happens in some countries like Italy, Portugal, Switzerland, Estonia, a research that I'm mentioning and giving you the link at the end of this presentation, declared that these arrangements, challenges, and needs of the school should be taken into strong consideration. Last but not the least is the students and the teachers mismatch. That is one of the problems that we meet in introducing BYOD policies. Very often it happens that students are good digital and skilled digital users. They are better than the teachers. So sometimes it is a sort of obstacle to be overcome, because meeting the problem solved, I have just mentioned this aspect, the lack of training for teachers could be an important aspect to be improved in the schools and educational agencies to train teachers in being better digital users and experts. This means overcoming this mismatch, and this means also, for example, driving, planning projects about this. To go to the end of this short presentation, I wanted to mention one Italian animatore digitale, Mr. Zucchini, who is responsible in an Italian school in Piedmont about ICTs and IT department. In his school, when BYOD policies were introduced, He was interviewed, and it is in short what he declares. If the school provides a computer, families expect the school to guarantee assistance. If instead it is the students who bring devices to school, this reduces the management burden. There is a lack of funds and resources, and to allocate a teacher to be a system engineer at the disposal of the kids is a mistake. The teacher must teach the children through the device and not take care of this. Mr. Zucchini is pointing out a very important aspect of BYOD, and it can be considered at the conclusion of this training offer one of the points to be strongly taken into consideration. BYOD means introducing personal devices for learning, and the schools and the educational agencies should be very well equipped, not only because they need experts, they need good equipment, but also because it is a very important innovative change in education. Here is the link to the research that was carried on by the European Union about the dissemination of BYOD experiences and good practices. Please read this very interesting document to become more expert about BYOD. And if the BYOD could speak, this is what I suppose it is going to tell us. Read or not, here I come. I thank you for your attention. I invite you to contact me, and I thank again Tia Formazione.